intentional. But let's not romanticize it. Sources already hint, does Charles actually want to repair things, or was this more about optics?
It all started with silence. The kind of silence that says more than words ever could. For months, the royal family had kept their distance. No official comments, no carefully staged photographs, no family Christmas gatherings. And yet, when two blacked out Range Rovers slipped quietly through the gates of Clarence House, the entire world froze. Inside one car was King Charles. Inside the other was Prince Harry. No dramatic speeches, no orchestrated smiles, just a reunion that carried the weight of years of pain, betrayal, and unanswered questions. This wasn't just a father meeting his son. This was history itself being tested. The last time Charles and Harry were face to face was February 2024, just after the king's cancer diagnosis. Since then, nothing. Harry stayed in California, busy with his projects, his foundation work, and his growing reputation outside the monarchy. Charles stayed in Britain, shouldering the crown while quietly fighting a battle for his own health. Months turned into silence, and silence turned into doubt. Many wondered if the gap between father and son had grown too wide to ever close again. So when Harry landed in London this September, curiosity was immediate. Officially, he was here for the Well Child Awards and a few charity events. But everyone knew the real question. Would he see his father? And if he did, would the king accept him? For days, the speculation spiraled. Tabloids dissected flight paths, hotels, and the timing of his arrival. Social media buzzed with theories, some hopeful, others cynical. But when cameras finally caught Harry's vehicle pulling into Clarence House at 5:20 p.m., the whispers turned into headlines. The meeting was real. At first glance, it seemed small. Just 30 minutes, sources said. No hugs at the gates, no family photos leaked to the press, no sweeping statements of forgiveness, 30 minutes behind closed doors. But for the royal family, those 30 minutes carried centuries of tradition and the full weight of global attention. This wasn't just a family reunion, it was a crossroads. To understand why, you have to rewind. Ever since Harry and Meghan stepped back from royal duties in 2020, the drama has never truly ended. The Oprah interview cracked open private wounds for the world to see. The Spotify deal and Netflix docuseries built a new brand around Harry's independence, but also around the fractures inside the royal family. And then came Spare, Harry's memoir, a book that felt less like a diary and more like a weapon. Every revelation widened the gap between him and the institution that had once defined him. It wasn't just family conflict anymore. It was war in the press, in the public eye, and in the court of global opinion. Harry had crossed an invisible line. He didn't just walk away. He told the world what he saw behind the palace walls. And for the monarchy, an institution built on mystique and silence, that was unforgivable. So when news broke that Charles had agreed to see him, many were stunned. The king, in the middle of cancer treatment, had little energy to spare, yet he carved out this moment. Why? Some believe it was pure fatherly instinct, a man who, facing his own mortality, wanted to reach for his son before it was too late. Others believe it was strategy, a careful move to test Harry's intentions, to see if he could sit in a private room without leaking the details later. Maybe it was both, but here's where things get more complicated. William, Harry's brother and the heir to the throne, was nowhere in sight. No quiet drop-in, no handshake, not even a rumored phone call. He was just miles away, but made no effort to see his brother, and that silence spoke volumes. For William, the rift runs deep. In his eyes, Harry didn't just betray the family, he betrayed the institution. He walked away from duty, from responsibility, from an unspoken loyalty that William has carried his entire life. And then he monetized the fallout. Imagine it. One brother shouldering the weight of the crown, the other building a brand from its cracks. That's not just tension, that's a chasm. And for William, forgiving Harry may not even be on the table. Inside Clarence House, though, the meeting went on. 30 minutes. What could possibly be said in such a short time? Likely it wasn't about apologies or deep emotional healing. It was about tone. Was Harry respectful? Did Charles extend warmth? Or was it all polite small talk layered over years of hurt? Nobody knows. And maybe that's the point. For once, nothing leaked, nothing spilled, silence remained intact, and that silence became the story. In a world where every royal glance is dissected and every word analyzed, silence feels louder than shouting. Either it means the meeting went badly and no one dares admit it, or it means both sides are protecting something fragile, something they're not ready to share. Still, the symbolism can't be ignored. For years, rumors suggested Charles stopped taking Harry's calls, that his messages went unanswered. That reconciliation was a fantasy. Yet here, at least for one evening, the door opened, and that matters. It may not mean forgiveness, it may not mean trust, but it means the thread hasn't completely snapped. Harry's return this time felt different. No Meghan by his side, no Netflix crew, no public statements. Just Harry walking alone into a world that once cheered for him and later turned on him. For a man who once described royal life as toxic, stepping back into it, even briefly, on us was like walking into a lion's den. But he did it, and that alone was enough to make headlines across the world. Meanwhile, Charles faces his own questions. Cancer changes people. It can soften even the most stubborn hearts, or it can harden resolve. Insiders suggest the king has been reflecting on his place, not just in history, but in his family. He feels the weight of time, and when you're staring at your own fragility, even the deepest grudges can feel small. But make no mistake, this wasn't an open-ended invitation. It was structured, measured, and short. A test, not a triumph. The bigger question is what happens next? Will Harry break the silence? Will he speak to the press, intentionally or accidentally, about what was said behind those closed doors? Because if he does, the fragile trust collapses instantly. But if he stays silent, if he guards this private moment like something sacred, it may mark a turning point. For once, silence could mean growth, and yet the obstacles remain. William's anger is deep. Palace insiders claim he sees Harry's actions as a betrayal of the crown itself. To William, the monarchy isn't just family, it's destiny, and Harry's choice to walk away and to speak out was a rejection of all of it. That wound doesn't heal easily. Maybe it never does. Still, the world watches, because this isn't just a family drama. This is the monarchy itself. An institution struggling to survive in a modern world, trying to balance centuries of tradition with the reality of scandal and fracture. And Harry, whether he likes it or not, remains at the center of that struggle. He's no longer royal enough to be trusted, but still too royal to ever be ignored. So for now, the image remains burned into memory. 2 cars, 1 father, 1 son, 30 minutes behind closed doors. No photographs, no hugs, no smiling departure. Just the quiet possibility that something may have shifted, or maybe not. Maybe it was just courtesy, one last attempt at civility before the story closes for good. But even if that's true, at least they sat down. At least for a moment, history paused, and a father and son shared a room again. And in a family where silence has become strategy and conversations have become battles, that alone is extraordinary. The truth is, there are no winners here. Charles is fighting illness while carrying the burden of the crown. William is guarding the future with a heavy mix of anger and duty, and Harry is suspended between worlds. Too far to return, too close to ever let go. Maybe one day this will all look different. Maybe history will remember this as the first fragile step toward healing. Or maybe it will go down as the moment that proved some divides can never be crossed. For now, all we have is silence. And sometimes, silence speaks the loudest of all.